It just happens, says McLuhan, that in the new age of technology, when all human arrangements from the cradle to the grave have taken on the hasty extravaganza aspect of a Hollywood set, or you would say virtual reality. See, Lewis and McLuhan are saying this 20 to 40 years before the phrase virtual reality. So all human arrangements from the cradle to the grave have taken on the hasty extravaganza aspect of a Hollywood set. The nihilist philosophies of Neoplatonism and Gnosticism have come into their own.
I'm back with Steve Wolf Pereira, EVP and Chief Client Officer at Televisa Univision. Did I say that right?
Again, very good.
Excellent. Steve, what are you excited about these days? What are you enjoying at PASA?
But it's finally here, and now you start to see people really move to contextual advertising, and context is just another way of saying culture. And so when you really think about how are you going to authentically connect with a consumer, it has to be in culture. And that is really opening up this whole can of worms around first-party data again, because folks need to connect in an authentic way. And I feel like we're just scratching the surface on what retail media could really be. So I'm really excited about retail media.
So McLuhan is saying the medium is very unreal, and it makes people feel comfortable with philosophies of unreality. It's not a Catholic philosophy. So McLuhan continues with the beliefs of Gnosticism and perhaps Lewis. Existence is an empty machine, a cheap artwork, they have always said.
Brothers and sisters, I come here today to ask you one question. I want to know what happened to the soul power. I come here today to ask you one question.
Here comes the question.
Everyone, please bow your heads and pretend to be serious.
No, what we want to do is a very simple thing.
Okay.
Copyright.
This is bullshit. Nobody cares. These guys are from England, and who gives a shit?
Hello, Sam. What's happening?
Not much.
Thanks for coming in here. Appreciate it.
National level and the international level. I'm the chair of the IP subcommittee of the Judiciary Committee. In June and July, we will be having hearings on the impact of AI on patents and copyrights. You can already tell from the questions of others, there will be a lot of interest. I look forward to following up with you about that topic. I know, Mr. Chairman.
I look forward to helping as much as possible.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator Coons. Senator Kennedy.
Thank you all for being here. Permit me to share with you 3 hypotheses that I would like you to assume for the moment to be true. Hypothesis number 1, many members of Congress do not understand artificial intelligence.
Thanks for coming in here. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Some of you may know that we got into a little bit of trouble about 1.5 years ago with a record that we put out. It's called U2. We actually we got sued by Island Records for, I guess, sort of having a little bit too much fun.
Play the record, Dog Lives. I can't get no satisfaction. I'm trying to make some girl sock it to me, baby.
A mountain peak draped with snow. 5 pointed stars form a ring around it. A logo appears. Paramount, a Gulf and Western company.
The copyright law.
User-specific data, things that are copyrighted, user-specific data through your AI applications. Because if I can go in and say, write me a song that sounds like Garth Brooks, and it takes part of an existing song, there has to be a compensation to that artist for that utilization and that use. If it was radio play, it would be there. If it was streaming, it would be there. So if you're going to do that, what is your policy for making certain you're accounting for that and you're protecting that individual's right to privacy and their right to secure that data and that created work?
So a few thoughts about this. Number one, we think that people should be able to say, I don't want my personal data trained on. I think that's
right. That gets to a national privacy law, which many of us here on the dais are working toward getting something that we can use.
Yeah, I think strong privacy.
My time's expired. Let me yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Has in it something called, am I boring you? Has something called fair use.
Well, sampling is nothing new. I mean, its antecedents go back not just to the phonograph record or magnetic tape, but old instruments like the singing keyboard by Frederick Samus used magnetic tape, kind of like the mellotron would use magnetic tape of an orchestra, or the octagon, which uses it's the same principle, but it uses patterns of light to create unique sounds out of pre-existing media on optical discs. Parody goes way back.
And this is no baloney.
There's Yankee Doodle Dandy and Star Spangled Banner, songs which were derived from old British tunes that were parodies, in fact, of the British during the American colonial revolutionary times. All the way up through Spike Jones, Carl Stallings, Buchanan and Goodman Flying Saucer record parodies.
Be on the lookout for Buchanan and Goodman, last seen wearing
black denim trousers and motorcycle boots.
We're going to begin a 2 Live Crew beats the rap at the Supreme Court. In a unanimous verdict, the court has ruled that owners of a copyright do not have a blanket right to prevent others from making fun of the original words and lyrics. Here's our law correspondent, Tim O'Brien.
Right. Fair use means that you can take an excerpt something, and not pay for it. Fair use needs to be redefined.
In 1964, Roy Orbison had a smash hit called Pretty Woman.
Pretty woman, walking down the street, pretty woman, kinda like me.
The question for the court was whether the owners of the song's copyright had an absolute right to stop this raucous rap group, 2 Live Crew, from poking fun at the original hit and cashing in on the melody.
Big hairy woman, you need to shave that stuff. Big hairy woman, you know I bet it's tough.
Today, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously that such parodies may be fair use and exempt from federal copyright laws. Justice David Souter said that parody, like less humorous forms of criticism, can provide social benefit and must be tolerated.
You shouldn't have to get permission for a parody, actually.
Well, that's what fair use is about. You shouldn't have to.
No, people don't. Does Mad Magazine get permission to do a parody of the airport movies or something? No, they don't. Does Saturday Night Live get permission? No, they don't.
Right, because they couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. They couldn't. You know, if parody were subject to prior approval, no way would you do parody.
No, when you start to rearrange and recombine things in a collage form, practically no one's going to give you permission because you're going to change what they're doing. You're going to change what they're saying, which is what we like to do.
Because what they have done is sucked up everything.
So one day he told his professors at Stanford, I'm going to download the internet. And then I'm going to figure out a better way to search. And they laughed at him. You're going to do what? You're going to download the internet? He did it. And he teamed up with Sergey Brin. These two guys met at Stanford, and the chemistry between them was immediate. And I don't mean in the kind of cordial manner most of you might assume. In fact, the first time they met, Sergey Brin was leading a tour around the Stanford campus in Palo Alto, and these two guys immediately began arguing in front of a group of about a dozen people.
Oops. The discovery of the alphabet will create forgetfulness in the learner's soul, because they will not
And that violates, we believe, the base of the copyright law. All we want to do is establish that there is no such thing as fair use for AI, which gives us standing.
Right.
Once we have standing, then, depending upon how this works out over time, there is at least status. Right now, we have no status.
Technologically speaking, a residuals program like this would be a tall order. An AI system would have to track every specific piece of its training data and then be able to determine which of those pieces of data influenced any given output generated and to what degree. On top of that, each of those pieces of data would have to be attributed to a verified human or set of humans, and there would need to be a channel of payment for those humans to receive their residuals. We did something a little bit like this at my company, Hit Record, producing pieces of art and entertainment with sometimes thousands of online collaborators and paying each contributing artist. Residuals from AI, in comparison, would require an astronomically huge scale, keeping track of zillions of bits, bytes, and flops, not to mention billions of people, cents, dollars, and microcents. So, now that I've said how hard the tech will be, let's talk about the really hard part. Tech companies won't be incentivized all by themselves to build the necessary software.
All hardware into software.
Blockchain technology is one of the 4 pillars of the digital age, the ABCDs as we call them. It's AI, blockchain technology, computer chips, and data. Those 4 things are transforming the way we store and exchange value. The same way that media was completely disrupted by the internet and the value of the biggest media assets went to new assets, the same thing's happening in financial services. It's a long process. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over decades. But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
They got all our stuff. Now, most companies have now said, as we have, our Dotdash Meredith, which is the largest publisher, we've said, you can't do this anymore. And they won't from now on, but they got all the old stuff.
Yeah, do they have to pay you for this?
You are all bowing for you.
Don't worry. I mean, if I owned a copyright on the Bible, I wouldn't sell it to random.
All rights reserved.
Protected by an electric fence and copyright control. Protected under copyright.
All rights that's copyright infringement.
So, if in fact, if you violate the copyright law, like you write something, you make something, and somebody takes it, literally appropriates it, we believe that is simple wrong. Okay, so that's in the copyright law. Once you get that, then at least you have standing. That's all we want to achieve.
But do they have to pay you for that, or how do you make the AI?
Well, let me ask you a question. If you have a copyright on something,
but what's
there's some kind of exchange. Now, right now, all these conversations that we're having and others are having with all of the chatters, they say, yeah, we're happy to make arrangements. Then what % of zero would you like?
Oklahoma accent, so she talks like this, you know. We love her, but
They're
Maybe among the things we're looking at, just in terms of improving the bottom line of the company and basically managing a business to maximum results. One possibility is that we do some licensing. There may be among the things we're looking at, just in terms of improving the bottom line of the company.
Oklahoma accent, so she talks like this.
And basically managing a business to maximum results. One possibility is that we do some licensing.
Yes. Peter's a fine name. What do you want for Christmas, Peter?
I want a fine just like the big ones, only smaller, has roses. Just go throw it water, and I won't do it in the house. I'll only do it in the backyard. I promise.
Macy's ain't got me. Nobody's got me.
Well, Peter, I can tell you're a good boy. You'll get your fire engine.
Oh, thank you very much. You see? I told you he'd get me one.
That's fine. That's just dandy. Listen, you wait over there. Mama wants to thank Santa Claus, too. Listen, what's the matter with you? Don't you understand English? I tell you, Macy's ain't got me. Nobody's got me. I've been all over. My feet are killing me. Fine thing, promising the kid.
Now, you don't think I would have said that unless I was sure, do you? You can get those fire engines at Schoenfeld's on Lexington Avenue. Only $8.50, a wonderful bargain.
Schoenfeld? I don't get it.
Oh, I keep track of the toy market pretty closely. Does that surprise you, sir?
Surprise me. Macy's sending people to other stores. You kidding me?
Well, the only important thing is to make the children happy. And whether Macy or somebody else sells the toy doesn't make any difference. Don't you feel that way?
Huh? Oh, me? Oh, yeah, sure. Only I didn't know Macy's did.
Well, as long as I'm here, they do.
Let's talk about corporate influence in the media. And before I do, I am very aware that we're extremely lucky here on HBO. We don't have advertisers. If I want to say that, for instance,
we stand tall. You have to wake up and smell the coffin.
Systems and basically create more robust systems.
Send to the package as a direct personal service. This is where we're heading under electronic information conditions, products,
because there's no
That's what I was going to ask you. So you've had conversations with Sam Altman, who's a friend of yours.
Yes.
He's also on the board of Expedia.
Well, he was.
Was on the board of Expedia. So here's Sam Altman.
We let him off.
You let him off the board.
We let him off after he'd done us a number of great services. First of all,
helping you with AI.
But he helped us enormously. And you think of the next thing to pay attention to on AI is not search and chat and stuff like that. It's when it goes from research to action, when it can autonomously get things done for you.
Right.
Think of travel, being able to say, I want to go to Istanbul. It knows enough about you, enough about all of your preferences.
We have cracked the code on something.
Lewis makes great and grim comedy of the horror of spirit shackled to the dying animal or human body. His own point of view in comedy is expressed as opposite to Henry Bergson's when Lewis says that laughter results from the spectacle of things, that is, persons trying to behave as though they were alive. Bergson found the key to laughter in persons
which deforms the lineaments of the face and makes men look like monkeys.
Monkeys do not laugh. Laughter is particular to man.
As a sin.
behaving as though they were things.